Hey everybody, happy Tuesday. And today at Let's Get Live with Dracaena, we are going to be talking about cold soak. So what is it? Why do we do it? What's the purpose of it? And I'm sure everybody has kind of heard of it. Oh, we've done cold soak or cold maceration for, this amount of time, blah, blah, blah. Okay. So why do we do it? Okay. So one of the big concerns about, harvesting is having fermentation start before we really want it to. Right? So this is why we harvest early in the morning or late at night. We want those temperatures to be cool because as the temperatures increase, then the juice within the grapes are going to start fermenting. Right? It's also why it's a good thing to have hello, Naughty Wines. It is a good thing to, that you harvest close to the winery that you will be processing at. And it's even more important if it's a distance that you're harvesting during these cool temperatures, okay? So we want to make sure that we harvest in cold temperatures that prevents the yeast from getting going and wanting to ferment the grapes. So that is actually what cold soak kind of plays upon, is the fact that cold soak or cold maceration is performed on red wine varieties, okay? And it is the process of preventing fermentation from occurring while allowing the juice to kind of hang out on those skins for a longer period of time. And we know that those skins are where the color is going to come in, and the tannin is actually there. It gives a little bit of structure. So this helps to extract more color and more aromas, so more aromatics and flavonoids from the grapes, and it kind of increases the quality of the wine. So now again, this is done prior to fermentation. So what is done is cold, temperatures are brought down really low, and this prevents the yeast from waking up. So when we go to cold soak, basically all we are doing is throwing dry ice on. All we are doing is pouring dry ice onto the grapes. So you can see in this image that the smoke, right, that's actually the dry ice. And so for our Cab Franc, we're putting in like 20 pounds of dry ice for each ton of fruit. Now this is not a specific thing, like it doesn't have to be an exact formulation, and it doesn't mean that every winery is doing that same amount. It's just what we do to make sure that we're keeping that fruit very cold and allowing the juice to remain on. Okay, so now what the dry ice does is it actually drops the temperature to about 40 degrees Fahrenheit. And as I've said, at this temperature, the yeast that are naturally occurring on those grapes, they can't do anything. They can't go through alcoholic fermentation, so they kind of just are suspended and they're not doing anything. But what's happening is the grapes are the juice is allowed to remain in contact with those skins, and that's going to expand those or extract those colors and flavors from the grape. So this typically is done for like 48 to 72 hours. And in this image by Wine Folly, it's kind of a sort of image that demonstrates it. So it shows that without the cold soak or cold maceration, that the wine is going to have a less deep color. Whereas when we do cold macerate, then the colors are there, the aromatics come out, the flavonoids come out, and that's going to increase the texture of the wine. Okay? So while the fruit is undergoing the cold soak, the next thing we have to do is we're going to cover that bin. So the picture that I showed previously wasn't covered. We don't leave it that way because then oxygen gets to it, right? So we want to contain that CO2. So we cover it pretty much with like a fitted bed sheet, okay? And that is going to keep the CO2 in and prevent the oxygen from getting into the juice, because oxygen at this point will aid fermentation, and we're doing everything we can to prevent that. Also, oxygen is going to start to break down the color of the wine, which is the whole main reason why we're doing the cold soak, okay? So we don't want the oxygen to come in and kind of go against everything that we are trying to do. So the important aspect about the cold soaking is that while it does extract the color and the flavors, thank you for the hearts, while it does extract the colors and the flavors, it's not extracting as much tannin into the wine, okay? So that's going to come in at a later time when we're aging the wine. Now, who developed this? Because, like, geez, who thinks about these things, right? Well, this guy, oop, it didn't go through, hold on. Okay, so here we go. This is the man who invented cold soak, okay? So it was pioneered by Henry Jayer, and he was a French vintner, and he is really credited with coming up with the concept of cold soaking. So it was his innovation in Burgundy winemaking, and he was known for the high quality of the Pinot Noir. So Joyer was actually born in Vasny-Romanée, and he attended the University of Dijon in the 1940s, where he earned his degree in enology. And he was really the first one to say, hey, if we can prevent this fermentation from going on, but we can keep the juice in contact with those skins, we're going to increase this color, this texture, the complexity of this wine. And that is where cold soak came from. So I hope that this kind of cleared things up, or, you know, kind of shed a little light on something in the winemaking world for you. And I hope that you enjoyed it. And if you have any concept, any ideas that you want me to talk about, please leave a comment below and let me know what you would like me to talk about in a future Get Live with Dracaena. So thanks for joining, and have a great day. Sláinte!